Today is Sunday, August 8th, 2021, and I'm going to continue talking about Book of Revelation and biblical cosmology and end times. So, Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And here is just one of the most in your face examples of the earth isn't a space ball. So there's four corners to the earth. And this is actually getting into more subtle, talking about more subtle, what does earth look like? I personally think that earth is a circle within a square. So I think that there's a square, and then I think within that circle, within that square is a circle, and then the dome. And I think the square, that's where the pillars are attached to the square, and then the circle of the earth is within that. And of course, circle, that's two-dimensional. It's a disc. Not circles are not spheres. That should just be like a biblical flat earth meme. And here, the earth has four corners. Four corners is a big thing. Whenever four states or something come together at a certain point, it's always a pretty big deal, and they'll make a landmark out of it. There's there's just this notion of a circumscribed square, and it's interesting the word is so close to circumcision, or right, obviously it makes you think of circumcised. Just a funny story. It's one of those things. I remember in high school when this topic came up, you could just feel the energy in the room when people were talking about circumscribed things, and it was like we were almost done with the chapter on this topic, and the awkward kid, of course, says something about the circumcised square, and everybody bursted out laughing, of course. It was just one of those funny things where talking about it, everybody is like giggling inside, and we almost made it all the way through the chapter, but no, of course, somebody had to say it. And I think that there's probably a connection here, that it does have something to do with Earth. It's a circle within a square. Job chapter 26, verse 10. Job was a really smart guy. He hath compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. So, a compass is a tool that you use to draw perfect circles. And I've mentioned this before, and I'll keep mentioning it because I think it's just a really in your face, obvious, and important truth. The whole point of the Masonic symbol of the straight edge, the rectangle, or what do you call it? Like the 90-degree angle thing, that, and the compass. It's all talking about creation, because in the beginning there was the flat water, which I believe is represented by the the rectangle piece in the Masonic symbol, and then they have the compass on top of that. So it's all about drawing a circle on top of something flat. I could have put a picture of that, but you guys can just go look up the Masonic symbol if you don't know what I'm talking about. Job, chapter 26, verse 7. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. This is actually, it's kind of one of those interesting things where people take something that supports flat earth, or it could go either way, and they try to say, oh look, this is ball earthland. People try to say that this verse is outer space. If if the whole NASA outer space stuff was real, wouldn't Job have more to say it other than hanging the earth upon nothing? I mean, even still, that's very earth centric. He's saying that earth isn't hanging on anything. He's talking about how earth earth doesn't have like a hook on top and it's hanging down off of something. No, earth is being supported from below, is what Job is saying here. Not that earth is a space ball flying through. Do you get what I'm saying though? Some people, they take this verse and they're like, look, NASA outer space land is real because the earth is hanging upon nothing. But kind of the whole point of the outer space lie is to make everything not earth-centric. It's like, why doesn't Job say something about Earth spinning and flying through vast nothingness upon billions of other places just like Earth? No, Job is just saying Earth isn't hanging upon anything. And do you see how it's very Earth-centric? Job isn't talking about planets and other places and galaxies, and no, he's saying Earth doesn't hang on anything. It's being supported by below. And this is just one of my favorite parts of Job because it gives you a truth that the typical flat earth community gatekeeps. The typical flat earth map is so wrong in that it's completely inside out. The flat earth shill map, they take the huge icy lands of the north and shove it into the center of the map. That doesn't make sense. Job tells us that the north hangs over the empty place. So for me, it's just obvious the north is the outside, because that would be the empty place. On the outside of Earth is where it's empty. The center of the Earth isn't hanging over emptiness. There's the foundation of the Earth. There's possibly hell beneath Earth. I don't know. Squaring the circle is a big concept, not only in mathematics. It's kind of a symbol for alchemy. Attempting anything that seems impossible. And that's God's creation. Earth is God creating the impossible, doing what nobody can do, making life, making everything. Nothing is possible without God. And everything that was ever created was created by Him. And so I don't know, that just comes into the... I think that's part of the whole... this taking the squaring the circle as being impossible. Anyways, a lot of people know that this stuff is true, so they put truth in fantasy, and they get people to believe in fantasy. The CGI Spaceballs, the cartoon Spaceballs, they get people to believe in that, and then they'll tell us that fantasy is the truth. I think the whole idea of a pizza is that the pizza is a symbol for the shape of the Earth. It's a circle with a crust on it. And even inside the pizza box, I didn't notice that when I took this thing, but think about it. You put it inside the pizza box. So when you take the lid off the pizza, you have your circle with the crust on it sitting within the box of the pizza box. Oh, I just thought of that. Revelation chapter 7. Verse 2, And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So, if you know about the mark of the beast, you see that this is something that Satan co-ops for the end times. Satan is going to have his own mark that goes on people's foreheads. And I don't know if this is like a literal thing, but you see that people take this and they make it a literal thing. The Indians, they do the red dot on the middle of their forehead. In the media, you see these like special people will have strange tattoos on their forehead, or Harry Potter has the mark on the forehead. What else? The Catholics, they do the ash thing on the forehead. There is just kind of a strange idea of people putting runic imagery on their forehead. Okay, continuing on. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And there's this beautiful symmetry, this beautiful... God is always in full control, and of course God can make it perfect so that 12,000 from 12 tribes are selected, special, because so to me it seems weird that some religious people take this as like, oh, only 144,000 people make it to heaven. That's not it at all. I mean, let's just keep reading. So I guess it's also worth pointing out that this is like a unit of measurement that comes up every once in a while, a gross. So a dozen, 12 groups of 12, 144. It's just something that comes up every once in a while. Do you ever remember reading those bulk magazines back in the day where you always had to buy like a gross of something. And it's weird that they turn 144, just the word gross for that has always been a strange word choice. Same chapter, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues. So, just in my opinion, it seems like sometimes there's people out there that make it seem like only 144,000 make it to heaven. No, that's 144,000 of the tribes of Judah, but then there's this part, and it says that no man could number them, so probably a larger number than 144,000 will be in heaven. Of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honor, and power, and might be unto our God for ever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So it's interesting that washing yourself in the blood of the Lamb, it doesn't make your robes black, or doesn't make your robes bloody or red. It makes them white. And these are they which came out of great tribulation. To me, it seems like maybe this almost just seems like all the people that made it through this living life, earth, and made it to heaven. And so the 144,000, to me, I don't necessarily feel like I'm a part of that. I don't know that I'm in the tribe of Judah. Maybe I'm just one of these, hopefully. I mean, I pray that I and many of you here listening to this make it to the end. It's just, the point I'm trying to make is there's some people out there like Jehovah's Witnesses and things that they make these claims about, oh, we're a part of the 144,000. And they also try to spin it off, at least I had the interpretation that it's like those are the only people that are saved. But when I read this part of Revelation, I don't get that at all. Okay, continuing on. Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. So I wonder if this is just a way in which our glorified bodies are going to be different. It's just, I don't know. There's so many unknowns. I think it's just one of those things. We're going to have to be there to know what it's going to be like. It's kind of futile to sit here and try to explain what heaven's going to be like. It's just, we're going to have to be there to figure it out. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. I just want to read a little bit more. Revelation chapter 8. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Just so ominous to me. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this has happened yet. So it's interesting. It's like John was getting visions of the future, of what's going on, and up in heaven, of things happening up in heaven. And all of this stuff in Revelation, do you just see how this stuff gets taken for the media? It just makes me think of all those TV shows out there, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff, where there's like elders and people are being teleported to rooms with a bunch of people in robes talking about it just, this is where they get all the inspiration for that stuff. It's all biblical. I mean, I'm not saying that the TV is biblical. They're obviously taking that stuff and corrupting it for their own. I'm just saying they're getting these ideas from the Bible. And I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. I just thought that so to me, there is this strange, it seems like a lot of things in heaven will be the same, but then it seems like a lot of things in heaven are going to be so different that you can't even begin to explain it. So we won't feel the heat of the sun anymore. Does that mean because our bodies are different in a certain way, but then you can still play a trumpet? I mean, angels can play a trumpet. There's just a lot of questions. Uh, when Jesus talks about building us mansions, I mean, is that like a literal thing? Will all of us have a physical mansion and home up in heaven? I don't know. Lots of unknowns. And it'll be interesting to find out, I guess. Continuing on in Revelation chapter 8, and the third angel sounded. So I just wanted to put this because I talked about it in previous videos. People had questions about it, so may as well talk about it. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. Do you remember the video I did not that long ago? Mountains or fountains? Guesses, I guess you could try to make guesses about where this is going to fall. So, yeah, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of programming about huge tsunamis taking out the city of New York. And there's other parts of Revelation that talk about Babylon falling and merchants crying in the distance about, and it does almost seem like New York City is just going to get totally annihilated at some point. So maybe Wormwood falls somewhere around there. I don't know, talking about the fountains of waters and all the rivers. Maybe it's in South America somewhere. I have no idea. But anyways, and the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood. It's interesting, capital W for the first one, and then lowercase w for the second one. Worth mentioning here, some people think that stars are angels, and maybe they have an angelic component. I'll just say that I'm open to that idea. I personally think maybe the stars are like prisons for certain angelic beings, and there's certainly a lot of media talking about great people. I don't want to say great people because a lot of these people, I think that they were, at least it makes it seem like a lot of evil people, but they were great as in having great power and very well known and things. It's like when they die, they go and become a star. That's just, or they might even go and become a whole constellation in the sky. That's just a thing in the media. And of course, there's also in the media entities being trapped inside of crystals. Maybe the stars are like prison and certain entities are trapped in them. There's certainly a lot of biblical verses that hint at these things, that mention stars as being angels. And of course, all the Hollywood things, Hollywood stars, all the obsession, these people really do think of themselves as angels. And you could just really get into it. But yeah, maybe stars are angels. It's possible. And so I just think it's weird here. Verse 11, capital W, wormwood. So maybe there is a spiritual, like a person there, capitalize, but then also the waters became wormwood, and the lowercase w there might just refer to the physical properties of the crystal or whatever the star is. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. I'm almost done with this video. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten. Oh, I just put this in here because this is just when everything goes crazy. And I mean, this is after Wormwood falls. So yeah, this is like full, the whole earth is going to be in panic mode. The aliens are invaded. I'm sure that all of that is going to already be happening on the world stage. And just this part to me sounds like people people will have no idea what's going on. I mean, hopefully people are reading their Bible and seeing these connections, but just imagine this verse right here. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened. And I'll just point out here, a third is 33%. And the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. Really, it's that last part. So is it going to be like you're having a normal day, and then all of a sudden daytime will just turn off for a third part of the day and then turns back on again? And then it says the night likewise. So then it's like it'll be nighttime, and then all of a sudden it'll turn to daytime and then back to nighttime. So that's just the way I'm interpreting this. It seems like it's going to be like flickering on and off. Daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. I wonder if they're going to try to say that the aliens are making Earth spin faster or something. I don't know. Okay, this is the last thing. I think it's interesting that the drink absinthe, it's known for having wormwood in it, or at least back in the day they used to put wormwood in it. And what absinthe does, it cloudies water. There's this whole ritual about preparing a drink of absinthe, and you pour water over a sugar cube, and it makes the water cloudy. And so to me, that's just a clear connection of how in the Bible it says that wormwood is going to bitter the waters and poison people. Wormwood is a bitter herb. They talk about here it's a bittering spice. And I'll just end with this because somebody pointed it out in the last video. It's worth pointing out. The word Chernobyl is Russian for wormwood. And so I think the whole Chernobyl thing, I believe, of course, that it was just a huge psyop. Chernobyl equals 33 in Chaldean. But it's interesting that Chernobyl means wormwood. And I think that the whole nuclear meltdown thing, it's an allegory for what might happen when wormwood falls to earth and poisons a third of the waters. Except that'll be real, and people will really die from that. And Chernobyl is just a psyop. Hope you enjoyed the video. God bless everyone.